Welcome to the Red Shirt Podcast with your hosts, Vernon and Nigel.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Red Shirt Podcast. This week we'll be discussing all things Manchester United. United battled to a 2-1 victory over Brighton. We're going to be talking about Mino Raiola. We're going to be talking about transfers in and out and previewing the Granada game in the Europa League. And is Jose still special? Or is he the special once? All coming up on this week's podcast with Vernon and Nigel. And introducing a special guest, Marvellous Marvin. You okay there, Marvin?
Yeah, I'm all right, guys. You okay?
It's Marvellous Marvin, man. I am so excited this week.
Exactly. Anyway, Nigel, are you ready to get the gloves on? Because you're up against your job.
I know. I'm up against it today, man. But it's all good. I've been waiting for this one.
Before we start, I'd just like to say a big thank you, as usual, to everybody that's listened, liked, and subscribed, and to all our new subscribers. Thank you very much. And Nigel, if I'll kick off with you straight away, battling performance against Brighton. What did you think?
Right. So this one, I tell you what. For the first time, I'm not going to give Ollie any stick because this is a team I've wanted to see all season. Yeah, I wanted Pogba in the middle. I wanted Fred mopping up around him. Yeah, I wanted Greenwood up front. You know, it basically picked my team, you know, minus Marshall. That's the team I've always wanted. So there's none of this, you know, back six that had gone out the window. He's actually played the team that I want. So the first 10 minutes, I'm like, you see, Nigel's right. Look at this. This is what I've wanted to see all season. And then it just all goes belly up, and we're playing awful. And you know, Danny Welbeck comes back and scores a goal, remind us what we're missing there. You know, so he gets one against the old club. And I'm thinking, this doesn't make sense. This is, you know, I can't go going at Ollie because the team's right, the shape's right. So this is all on the players that first half. So, I mean, eventually we get there. But, you know, I'm left thinking maybe this team needs to play some more to gel. But I actually think it's the right team. It was just something odd, just wasn't clicking with this team for a while. What do you think, guys?
So, Marvin, what was your first 45 minutes? What did you think of the first 45?
We started poorly again, which seems to be a bit of a trait with the team, I think, this season in particular. And I wasn't sure, you know, I'm watching him and I'm not sure how Ollie's talking to the team beforehand, because I mean, you listen to players and they're talking about, he keeps telling us to start quick, but we don't seem to be able to do it. It doesn't seem to be registering with the players. Do you know what I mean? Tempo and everything, it's gone. The passing's slow. It's actually like we've got, and I know it's, you know, it's been said many times, it's like we've actually got to go a goal behind before we actually realise we're in a game. And we can't keep playing like this.
It's an interesting point we made, because obviously you go on, I mean, that's 25 points that we've actually, you know, won back from a losing position. Yeah, 25 points. And it was strange because I don't know what you guys thought, but for the first 11 minutes, I thought we were, you know, we'd hit the post versus Greenwood. I thought the tempo was, you know, it was getting there. And then we go behind with such a sloppy goal, don't we?
It's the curse of the defence, isn't it? We can't see. Our defending's poor at times. We concede. We give easy chances away, for me. We concede easy goals, soft goals that you should be looking at. I mean, I was watching Wan-Bissaka and Lindelof for the goal. Lindelof is getting caught under the flight of the ball, which is poor as a centre-half. And Wan-Bissaka's not anticipating that he could miss that. You know, there's little things in players' games that they need to be working on. As a fullback, you've always got to think, if my centre-half doesn't get there, am I in position to affect what's going to happen afterwards? And I think, I know somebody saying to me that he'd come from being a winger to a fullback. That's not necessarily in his game then, is it? It's something they really need to identify, look at, work on with him, because he does get caught positionally out of position, you know, at times. Wan-Bissaka. And quality one-on-one, no arguments, you know, best in the league. But sometimes, particularly on crosses, I think he gets caught under the ball as well. He's another one for that.
I think the problem is sorry, Nigel, the right-sided defence. Because you look at like the whole goal, you've got Shaw who doesn't stop the cross coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's got to do better.
And then you've got the right side of the defence that aren't communicating. And, Welbeck just basically checks his run, doesn't he? And then he goes, doesn't he? And you've got where Bissaka thinks he's got the ball, but he hasn't. I thought it was a really good save from Henderson.
It was.
He had no chance, did he?
Yeah, I felt sorry for him for the rebound. Yeah.
And you just touched my point really, which is sometimes you just got to give credit to Danny Welbeck. I mean, he is one of us anyway. He's homegrown by us, so he knows how to score a goal. And the reality is, you're right. All your comments, I don't disagree with any of it. But I do think that Danny Welbeck also is cute in the box and he's a fox in the box, and he's up for the game because it's United.
Yeah.
So he's picked the pockets and he's scored a great goal. Great save. First save was a great reaction save, but like you said.
Well, all 3 goals are born from Carrington, aren't they?
There you go, of course.
All 3 goals are born. You've got Welbeck.
This is very true.
The
Carrington show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rashford. Yeah. And then obviously you've got Greenwood who comes up and gets the winner. So I mean, I think we would all agree that in the first half, obviously there was a lack of desire and tempo. Now, would you say that was one because you come up against a well-coached team in Brighton, and Graham Potter? Was it the international week, or are we just very slow starters? Do we have to go through the gears to actually start the performance? Because it almost seems as if we're a 45-minute team, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd say particularly this is a combination of the 3. I think the internationals definitely have an effect on the games this weekend. If you look at some of the other results around the league and that, but there's definitely an argument to say that we're slow starters because this is not the first time it's happened this season. It's great that we can actually turn it around, but we definitely seem to start slow. There is that little flaw in our makeup, I think.
I don't know if you remember, Vern, what I said on the last show, that I think down to a man, every one of our players on international duty did really well.
Yeah.
They all gave a good account of themselves. So in one respect, you would expect that they'd all come back buzzing, because they've all had a good international experience and they've all played in their positions. Pogba played where he wants to play, and it all clicked. And like Fred had a rest. So in my head, I'm thinking this is perfect. But there's something about, maybe it's just the first time in a long time that team's been played. And I think maybe 2 or 3 games, if Solskjaer holds his nerve and sticks with that team, I think we might have a good end to the season.
Well, it was a good result because basically, Leicester and Chelsea obviously lost that weekend.
Yeah.
We're now on to 60 points, which is I think it's 14 more points than we had last season at this stage. We've more or less guaranteed our Champions League position for next season. Now, we need a strong finish, and I'm sure we all agree that we're not going to celebrate coming second, are we?
Certainly not, no.
But I suppose the question is, has there been progress made?
Oh, yeah, I think that there is some progress. If you look at points tally, if you look at the league, and the league is a fair reflection of where you are, I think the problem with this season is because of the pandemic. It's a strange season, and I just wonder how we'd have got on had Liverpool not kind of fell apart with injuries. Because I think if they'd have, if they'd been playing well and we were in this position, I think you'd definitely say, yes, we've definitely made progress. It's what's going to happen next season, which I probably think would be a fairer test of where we're at, because I expect Liverpool to be better next season. I think the fact that they fell off really has given us an opportunity to get that. But is it a true reflection of where we're at? I'm not entirely sure.
Mourinho got second and the Europa Cup. So we really have to, if you want to talk about progress, that's what we've got to do at a minimum to really have a proper conversation about progress. Despite the season, despite what's happened, despite Liverpool's drop-off and what have you, and unless we've got some kind of silverware along with that second place, then it can't be progress. What do you think?
I suppose the board will feel that if they get second, and at the moment they're 11 points clear of Liverpool, who were champions, who I think gained 38 points more than us last season. So you look on that and you think it is progress, because I mean, injuries are a part of football, aren't they? So you have to, I mean, United last December had 9 injuries. You know, before the pandemic, they had 9 injuries, and the tabloids and the broadcasters were out for Ollie, weren't they? So, I mean, we had the pandemic, there was a break in the season, and it kind of like galvanized United. They got the players back, and they've been on a really good run, because if you look at, I think you have to take the 3 defeats in the first 6 games, it was down to fitness, wasn't it? You know, they finished the season late, they come back late, and you look at the Crystal Palace game, and you could see that they were weeks ahead in fitness, couldn't you?
Yeah, miles ahead of us at that point.
But sorry to jump in there. Going back to whether this is progress or not. So you rightly identify the fact that yes, so we had the injury issue at the beginning and what have you, but we have been in so many semi-finals, and we're like you said, we're forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. So there's a question mark over the mentality. Can this team go now? There's nothing else to play for. We know that top 4 secure. Can we go and get some silverware this season? Yeah. And so really it's a question mark. If we talk about progress, it's not only progress in terms of points tally, but it's progress in terms of character, in terms of personality, in terms of how we feel as fans watching the type of football that we're seeing, bearing in mind what we're used to. So honestly, if we don't get that Champions, that Europa Cup, then I can't honestly say we've made progress. It's exactly the same. It's as you were.
Which is a really good point, and we'll come to that later. If we go back to obviously the game against Brighton, going forward, I don't know about what you guys thought, but did Cavani look fit?
No, he didn't, and I think that's you can all see his quality. I think that's again the issue, and it's been a little bit stop-start for him this season. He's had a few injuries, and then he's had the issue, and he's been in and out of the team. But when he's been fit, he looks a quality centre forward. He brings something to the table that the other forward players don't. He's cute in the box. He's clever, and he makes space for other players. I sometimes wonder if they're not quite reading it, because he's one, like we've said, he'll make runs across the front, and leave a little space at the back. And I think sometimes at Greenwood and that, it doesn't necessarily read that if he's in the team. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I like Cavani. I'm just wondering whether or not he's going to stay now.
Well, going back to you, Nigel, because of the team's lack of width at times, and the fullbacks have to make the width, because essentially we play with centre forwards as wingers, don't we? And both of those players, all of them, Martial, Rashford and Greenwood, they like to come in, don't they, and shoot. I think that, would you say that, I mean, the greatest example would be Cavani's goal against Everton, wasn't it, where Fernandes picks him out and he's in between the 2 centre halves, and it's a great header, isn't it, right into the bottom corner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if sorry to go across it, but it was Greenwood's first headed goal apparently, and he looked like he's been watching Cavani. The way he was anticipating the fact that the ball might drop for him, and he was in there like a shot and scores it with his head. It was very Cavani-esque. And so
similar.
And I know that he's been watching him and getting some pointers off him. So I was really pleased with his goal. As for Cavani, he did look off the pace, and obviously maybe all the talk around extending his contract, and maybe he is homesick. Maybe he's enjoyed it in England for a while, but maybe it's a bit cold, isn't it?
Well, I think it's cold, but it's not going to be any different from a winter in Paris, is it?
This is true.
Sorry, guys, to jump in. I think one of the issues we have is we don't have natural wide players to fire the ball in. And we go back again to Lukaku's situation a few years ago. You've got this centre forward that thrives from balls in from wide, but we're not set up for him. We're not set up to
No.
play to his strengths.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we lose a bit with Cavani. His movement in the box is fantastic. You know, you watch him, his little runs, he stops short, and he'll dart across the centre half. But we don't have those natural players that their first instinct is to look up, see where he is, and fire that ball in. You know, that's not Rashford's game, and it's certainly not Greenwood's.
The Red Shirt Podcast, by Reds, for Reds. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to the Red Shirt Podcast.
Before we talk about transfers, let's talk about our friend Mino. I mean, love him or hate him, where do you stand on him?
I absolutely detest that man. I cannot stand the sight of him. He's a dodgy car salesman, isn't he? He's just, his cars aren't dodgy, but he's dodgy, if you know what I mean. He just,
Manager.
He wouldn't look out a place at the market up here in Ashton. He wouldn't behind one of the stalls. Every time I look at him and I just think, how is it you're making this kind of money? Yeah. I mean, they've really, for me personally, they've got to look at this with the transfers now and their agents, because it's absolutely scandalous. You know, they're holding people to ransom, and he's getting paid what? He wants 20 mil. What did he get for Pogba? What did he
42 million.
That is absolutely ridiculous. He's basically arranging an interview. That's what he does. Yeah. It's shocking. Yeah. It's criminal. It's a crook.
So these agents are dodgy just as well as the clubs were back in the 80s. So
yeah.
my only stipulation would be is that the player pays the agent. This whole idea the club paying them, I'm not having that. So it's like whatever the fee is, they'll pay for. Maybe he takes a 5% cut from the player's fee or whatever, or from. But this whole idea of a club paying you 40 million, what for?
The interesting fact is that when Frank Stapleton signed for Manchester United, he actually was offered more money to sign for Everton. United have always been notoriously bad payers when it comes to contract. Ashley Young, you know, again, he could have joined Arsenal and been on more money. What it is with United is it's the fact of the add-ons. You know, you know, straight away you'll get lucrative deals with, you know, endorsements, you know, and that's what they can offer. I remember reading it as well. You know, Ferguson, you know, for the good of the game, he was notorious for basically creating his own contracts for his players. You know, that's what you're worth. And he came out a few years ago and said, the transfer market, there's no value in the transfer market. So, I mean, the thing about Raiola is he's all about the player, isn't he?
He's all about lining his pocket as well. Let's the thing. Look, I like you said, Nige, I've got no problem, because there was a time where footballers were being, you know, had over left, right, and centre. I've got no problem with that. But what I will come back to is where I think you're right. It needs to be that the player pays the agent, not the club.
The Red Shirt Podcast, by Reds, for Reds.
Where do you think we need strengthening this season? And we'll talk about, first of all, actually, we'll talk about players going out. Now, United have basically said that they're willing to have one marquee signing and then players will be purchased on who they sell. Now, I put a little list together of Mata, Pereira, Lingard, Bally, Dalot, Jones, maybe Tunzabi, Romero, Grant, and the other goalkeeper, Pereira. I mean, in that list of going out, is there anybody that you don't think will be going out, or you'd be sad to lose?
I tell you who won't be going out. That Phil Jones.
Yeah, I will not be sad to see him go.
I've said it before, and I say it again. I will happily carry him on my back anywhere. Any club that wants him, I will carry him personally on my back. That's how much I despise. I mean, it's more. I mean, where's his footballing ethics? It's just doesn't care, does he? He literally. Have you seen him sat in the stand behind Woodward every now and then? Just like.
It's not his fault he was given a contract, Nigel.
It's not. It kind of. Well, it's not his fault. Where's his football integrity? He should say, you know what?
Somebody's got to come in for you, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
I mean, I know it's a short career, but you've actually got to play some football.
Well, you know, there's a few players, you know, that are like that. But hopefully, for his career, let's hope somebody comes in for him and he's moved on. I mean, Bally now's got COVID, hasn't he? So it's just, injury or unfortunate situation after.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's played 100 games for United yet.
No.
So
It's a
you
shame
know,
because he's a good centre half when
Yep.
we keep him fit. You know, it's that has been the issue with him. I'd be interested to see Dallo. I'd be interested to see what it'd be like if he came back, just to put a little pressure on Wan-Bissaka rather than actually going out and buying a fullback. And then there's Brandon Williams. What's up? Brandon Williams is a right back anyway. That's his natural position.
Yeah,
What's happened with him? What's
but
gone on there?
I'm convinced that Solskjaer, Ollie just has his favourites, doesn't he? And once you're
I
Ollie's
agree,
favourite,
Nigel.
then
Absolutely.
you've got no chance. Because Brandon should be brought in every other game just to keep it spicy. But he's not, is it?
No, I absolutely agree.
Now-
Ollie's got his favourites.
Yeah.
I think, and this is the one which is quite a surprising one with Tunzebi, because I think like a lad that's captain, you know, at every level at the club, but publicly, you know, they're always like, there's loads of praise for him. He's like a player of the future. But I'm kind of sensing that if they got a bid for him, they would take it. And I'm just looking at the games played now. He's 24.
You see, the thing about Tuanzebe is probably the same thing about quite a few other players there. And it's maybe slightly better with Lingard, which is, you remember, you know, I've gone on record saying that some players come to United and just die because of the type of football we're playing, the way we're set up, certainly in the last 6 months. Nobody can shine. Not even Paul Pogba can shine in that team because the whole structure of the team, the way we're set up to play, it's just dead football. And so Jesse goes away. It's no surprise that Jesse's now looking like a half decent footballer. Now I understand that when mid-table teams play against mid-table teams, you know, with all due respect to West Ham, that they open up and play football, more expansive football, because they both believe there's a chance they may win the game. So of course there's more space, and of course there's more dynamism within the game. So Jesse can actually have a bit of space, and the game's moving a bit quicker. But you know, Tuanzebe, bringing it back to the guy you mentioned, he's one of these footballers that is United. It's the way we're set up. It's just like Van der Beek, like a lot of the players, because of the way we're set up. A lot of these players that were great in the youth team, and you know had the best of futures ahead of them, now just look very ordinary. You know, they don't become rubbish players overnight. So what's happened to them? That's my
It's
point.
funny because going back to sort of like Lingard, I think his value went up 5 million after the goal that he scored last night.
Yeah, great goal.
You know, I think
I like
he did.
Tuanzebe. I'd like to see him given a run in the side, because you
Yeah.
don't really know until he's given a proper run in the team what he's going to be like as a player. And Ollie's not given that. And it's an issue we have at the club, because clearly Ollie has specific players that he plays continuously. And those players, if he's not careful, ultimately cost him his job.
Yeah.
But anyway, going on to Thursday night, we're in the Europa League. It's the quarterfinal, and it's against Granada. Now, Nigel, you know that we like a fact or two, don't we, about opponents from, you know, other shores? And I've actually done some research. So, Marvin and Nigel, just to let you know that Granada are a team that are actually from the city of Granada, which is based, which is based in Andalusia in Spain.
Yeah.
It's a big game, and this comes back to the point you made before, Nigel, where you know we've been installed as the bookies' favourites, so it's a big game for Ollie, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's a must-win. It's a must-win, and I think we're in theory. We go back to mindset again. You hear the name Granada, and you wonder whether half of these players are thinking, this is now formality. And, you know, we could definitely have done with one of the other bigger teams, really, just to keep our focus.
We could have done with Arsenal, couldn't we?
Yeah,
Arsenal
exactly.
or Roma.
That's exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
So I expect us to do it, but I am also nervous because of what we've seen so far this year. We know the mentality now, don't we?
Yeah.
And you know, and how does Ollie get a tune out of them? And how does he G them up for this game? It shouldn't be difficult, you know, with my Keno head on again, but the reality is this is a different team, innit? So
What are your predictions? I'll go to Marvin first for this one.
Oh, I would. You know what? I think a score draw.
Score draw?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think a score draw. Yeah.
So Nigel has the unluckiest. He can never ever say United will win. So come on, Nigel.
I can't, man. We're gonna get battered again. You know, we're gonna be complacent, and before we know it, we're gonna be 2-0 down, and fighting to respond to that. So I reckon we might lose the first leg, and then have to turn it on for the second. I reckon we're gonna get surprised by this team.
Yeah, that's what worries me about the tie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what worries me about the ties. They're a little bit towards unknown, and you're not quite sure what they're going to get. For them, it's a massive game.
Yeah,
there isn't any real pressure on them. Yeah. It's going to be about really how we turn up mindset, and do we start the game well? Do we start on the front foot?
Exactly. And the reality is that they're there, aren't they? I mean, and they're there. They have to be there on merit. And I reckon maybe a lot of teams have just taken them for granted. Who are Granada?
Taking them lightly.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous, Vern.
Yeah, me too.
So what you're saying, Nigel, that people are still thinking it's a place where you go to rent a TV from.
No, see, I can't go on that road with you, Vernon. I nearly said something then.
But anyway, going back to, I think for me, I'd be more nervous if there was a crowd there because it's very tight cauldron of a ground, and it would be very partisan. And they would kind of get the 60-40 decisions, but I think United will still be in the tie. I'm going for a draw. For this one. Anyway, that brings us to the big Super Sunday game on Sunday, believe it or not, which is 16:30.
You're really good at this, Vern. I tell you.
I'll try to get my ring back, Nigel. Anyway, it's a 16:30 kickoff against Spurs. It pits us up against Jose again. So, is he the special one, or has he become the special once?
You know what? I think the way he manages is looking dated.
Yeah,
I think it's looking dated. I think he's had his time, and now the game's evolved.
Yeah.
The game's evolved. It's moved on. Yeah,
I think the one thing that Fergie mastered is he realised that adaptability and evolving. So every 2 or 3 years he changes coaching when he bring in younger coaches because Ferguson wasn't,
and his players. He changed the players.
Because what I'm seeing, and I don't know about you guys, is I'm seeing the same pattern and the same behaviour at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So each week he's throwing the players underneath the bus. And let's be honest with you, he inherited a better squad at Tottenham than he did United.
Yeah. Well, by his own admission, he said it, didn't he? He said, he actually went on record saying this club is better. I mean, these bunch of players are better than what he had at.
I think
this week. Did you hear his last comment? Did you hear his last comment?
That's what I was about to touch on, Marv. It's becoming very ominous, and we've heard this record before. We know exactly what's happening now.
Same manager, different players. Same man, and that doesn't bode well for the club, man. You can't do that with the players and expect them to perform for you. Yeah. There's times you've got to back them. There's times you've just got to defend them, regardless of the performance. You put it down to a bad day at the office. You chuck people under the bus. It doesn't work.
He's blaming him now for his white hair, isn't he?
He's blaming him for everything.
He said, "This is the reason I have white hair." Now, I mean, the thing is
no, but sorry, Vernon, but how do you respond to that? I mean, he said, "Same coach, different players." And then, what? I mean, so her question back to him was, "Well, is it you then? Because you're saying the same coach. Why can't you get out of these players?" And he's like, "Well, I'd rather not say." I'm like, "What?"
Well, exactly.
That's a decent squad. That's a decent squad. That is a decent squad.
If I can just say then, right? So he's clearly all is not well in the Tottenham camp. Now, when they played us at the beginning of the year, they battered us. And we weren't fit and all that kind of thing, but they're ambassadors. So I want to see some real mentality here and some real character. And I'm like, if I'm Ollie, I'm saying, we do to them what they've done to us. In fact, we're giving some more. So I want 7. Don't come back in this changing room without 7 goals. Honestly, mate, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
I can't see it, you know.
Dude, you know what? Listen to me. I want 7 goals.
I'd like 7 goals.
Do I look like I'm joking? I want 7 goals.
I don't think you're going to get them, Nigel. I'll be honest.
We've got to get 7.
I think that was quite an interesting game, really, because when we got beat, they were kind of like 4 weeks ahead of us in fitness. We've gone 1-0 ahead. They'd scored, and then we had the Lamela and we had the Martial incident. And that United were already losing 2-1, so it didn't change the game, but it had an effect on the game. You know, and it was quite cute, Mourinho, because he made sure that Lamela didn't come on for the second half. Now, we know, I mean, we can talk about how this game's going to go. So I'm going to ask you the question. Yeah. How do you see it?
Draw. I think it'd be cagey. I do. I think, I do. I think it'd be. I would be surprised if Ollie goes out to go at them. I would like to see it, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
You know what? I think this has got to be like the defining game for Ollie's career. If we go out there and start playing that back 6 nonsense, and that's it. I'm totally Ollie out. And that's it. I'll never come back off from it. I've given him chance after chance. I've even said, you know, wait till the end of the season. But if he comes out after everything they're going through,
you would think
it was at the beginning of the year. And we're going to go out there and play cagey football with him. Are you? Okay, don't let me get. I'm not gonna
I think it'd be a cagey game.
If he does, that's it. I'm lost forever.
I think we've got to have a bad result just to see your meltdown next week, Nigel. So that we can get more subscriptions.
That'll be it.
We need to get about them. We really do need to go there and start on the front foot. But we need to start quick. You saw the difference. You look at the derby, for instance. We started quick, high up the pitch, pressed them, and that's where we got the penalty from.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're not capable of doing it. It comes back to how the manager's going to set us out.
Yeah.
And I think this season, as opposed to last season, where a lot of the big games we did really well, this season, for whatever reason, it seems like he's happy to take a draw in those games, which I just find bizarre.
Can I just not give a prediction? I would like to see us go all out to exact revenge for what happened at the beginning of the season. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so Nigel's coming in with a Shaolin Master prediction.
What do you think would be the starting lineup? That's what you need.
Tommy
and Fred?
Do you know what? I mean, the fact that you just mentioned the City game is really throwing a cat among the pigeons, because we turned up for that game.
Yeah, we did.
You know what I mean? And we played great, and and we deserved the win. And I think
absolutely
that's what I'm talking about. Mindset. He's just got to get that mindset in the players. So, you know,
we know they're capable of doing it. It just we're not seeing it enough of the big games this season.
Yeah.
I think to me it's mentality. It's a winning the problem is at times it's you under Ferguson and under Guardiola and under Klopp. Sorry,
Gary Neville, belief. He says it all the time. It's belief. Believe that you can go out there and beat them. Believe that you can do the job.
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is if you go down and you study Ferguson, a lot of the time there wasn't technical coaching. Basically, what happened was I believe that I've got an 11 that can beat you, and we're just going to take you on.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, I'm going to go for a draw.
Yeah, that's where I was anyway.
So Nigel, this brings us to another.
Hang on a minute. What kind of United fans are you about a draw?
It's going to be a draw after a European game.
Yeah.
They're going to come home.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight.
They're going to come on Friday. They'll be tired. It'll be a draw. So anyway, Nigel, which is good to see that you've been in fact, fighting mode, and it looks like we've got back to Tuesday fight night. Do you know what I mean? With Marvin and Nigel.
Marvin! No, seriously, hasn't it been a pleasure having Marvin on today? He's just absolutely brilliant. Love this guy.
Thanks. It's been great being here, guys. Yeah.
It's good to have a good-looking guy on. Do you know what I mean?
How about that?
People are usually using me and Nigel on the flat screens to deter burglars since lockdown started. So anyway, Nigel, it brings us to this special part where we've got to say, love football, be safe, and
keep the red flag flying. It's a different one every week, man.
Yeah. So remember, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
The Red Shirt Podcast, by Reds, for Reds. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Red Shirt Podcast.